Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome you, those of you that are here and those of you that are on Zoom, to our Monday, September 18th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. Rebecca, may I please have a roll call?
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Jennings?
Here.
Is Commissioner Smith available in the Zoom meeting at this time?
Not yet.
We are anticipating that he will be joining the meeting in progress, but is not here presently. Vice Chair Mazza?
Here.
Chair Peak?
I am here. And Patrick, could you shed a little bit of light on that for us?
Perfect. Thank you
Commissioner
very
Smith.
much, Chair Peak. I just wanted to address for the benefit of the Commission as well as the members in the audience. The state's updated remote attendance rules under the Brown Act do allow an official to attend remotely without noticing that location for the public to attend. For, among other things, just cause. Subsection J2 of Government Code 54953 defines just cause to include, among other things, childcare needed of a grandchild. It is my understanding Commissioner Smith is currently providing said childcare to his grandchildren outside of the city, and he plans to call in via Zoom once those duties are satisfied for the evening. Mr. Chair, of course, myself and staff will alert you all to do that. And with that said, we're good to go, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Question? Other than childcare, do you have to, what else can you get out of it for?
So just cause is, once again, childcare of grandchildren is just one of probably 4 or 5 different options. Of course, Commissioner Smith did reach out to staff in my office to ensure it was appropriate. Should you feel the need, my office is, of course, always available for you, Vice Chair Mazza.
Thank you.
All right. Quinn, do you mind if I put you on the spot and you direct us to the Pledge of Allegiance? Will you lead us? Can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh. Okay, never mind. Pamela, you're on point. We can learn tonight. All right, sorry for putting you on the spot with that one. Pamela, thanks for backing us up. May I please have an approval of the agenda?
I move the agenda as staff recommends.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hearing none opposed. Rebecca, may I please have a report on the posting of the agenda?
The agenda for the meeting was properly posted on September 8th, 2023. The amended agenda was properly posted on September 14th, 2023.
Thank you. Do we have any public, we have no presentations. Do we have any public comment this evening on anything that is not on the agenda? That's what this is for. Former Council Member Ulick. Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Chair Peak, Commissioner Hill, Mazza, and Jennings. And I love the child care person at home. Anyway, I'm here because we've had a lot of break-ins and robberies at Port's Head, specifically in Point Dume. We've had 3 in the last 5 weeks or so. In addition, I mean, the last one happened on Sunday. A truck was stolen, and then they used the credit cards that were in the truck at Nordstrom like 30 minutes later. So I think this is Sunday. I was on the dog walk watch because I'm on neighborhood watch. The exact same time, Sunday at 5 p.m. We have an issue, you guys, and I emailed the city council, but they said I should come here. I'm coming before you too. We need to get flock cameras and or those other license plate readers. I'm hoping the Planning Commission, the city council can help us secure all of Malibu and make it safer. So I don't know if we're going to need to get an easement for that or what, but I'm hoping you'll help like the community organizations do this expeditiously. So I know in 2018, we spent, I don't remember, $800 a sign. at the entrances of the Point Doom. And we all paid for those. It was almost like maybe $4,000 for these little signs. I'm hoping we can mount the cameras on top. It won't be an issue with an easement if we have to come to you. I just want you to know now. But we need your help. And I'm hoping and praying that everyone's safe and that we can help protect each other and keep each other out of harm's way. But it's happening. And so I just want to raise that issue. And hopefully the city council is watching, because this hopefully counts for me going to city council too. So thank you for your service. I really appreciate every single one of you and the sacrifice. I really don't know how you do it, but I appreciate you too for your time and energy, and we all know how precious that is. So thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll come to a solution together. Thank you.
Pam, you said you had 2 items. Was that it?
Oh, no, I'm on 5A.
Oh.
There are no raised hands.
I only have 1 slip. Okay. Commissioners, comments? John, you want to begin?
Sure. I want to comment on Pam's comment. The city just bought for the sheriff's department plate readers, which supposedly are in use. We bought some about 10 years ago, which I don't know whatever happened to those. But they go straight to the sheriff's department. I'm sure this other camera does too. I would suggest, Pam, that you talk to the Public Safety Commission and especially call Chris Frost, because he knows everything about that. I also just want to tell a little story. About 3 years ago, my wife caught a guy looking in the window, and our house is walled. Called the sheriff's, 911, lady screaming on the phone. They never even called back, never showed up. And so I think we need to set priorities in Malibu. We don't need 8 people riding around on ATVs on the beach writing tickets for cigarette butts when people are getting their houses broken into. It's just a matter of balancing the budget. That's about it.
Thank you. Greg?
I would echo those comments about the prioritizing the sheriff's budget. I guess quick question for staff when I'm done here, and maybe Rebecca, I think just to hear what the current COVID status is, because there was some email today about city events and what the exposures might be. And I know that at least nationally numbers are up again. So it'd just be good to get a quick update on that. In May, in the process of making disclosures on an application, I pointed out that a friend of the applicant had offered to me a quid pro quo to vote yes on an item. And I just made that statement as part of what you disclose. And the city said, in effect, well, that sounds serious, and opened an investigation to see what the implications might be. Would it go any further? And I guess this will be for you, Patrick, for an update. Attorney Rusin interviewed me and asked me about, my take on it and anything else that I hadn't mentioned in public. And at the end of that, he said, okay, well, this sounds serious, and we're going to get to the bottom of this and look into it. And that was almost 4 months ago now. So I'm just wondering if there's an update, if there was any conclusion, and if there was a conclusion, if there's any kind of documentation that the public might be able to see. And I guess that's it for my comments.
Thank you very much. So I will be very honest with you. I am not involved in any way in that investigation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And so once again, that's not atypical. I am up here to advise you all. In my opinion, it's probably good practice for me not to be then subsequently investigating and making any kind of determination. So with that being said, I apologize. I do not have an update. However, I plan to look into that either tonight, depending on what time we get out of here, or first thing tomorrow morning.
Or if nothing else, it might be something for council to remark on.
Anything else, or did you want to hear from Rebecca now, or wait a second?
Either way.
Rebecca, I'm going to come back to you about his COVID question in a second. Jeff? Okay, I don't have anything to report other than welcome this evening, and I hope everybody has a good evening. Rebecca?
We have had some staff exposure to a person who tested positive for COVID. We do have some staff members in the city that are home with COVID right now. So city staff are wearing masks if we were exposed. There are free disposable masks available at the table over there if anybody would feel comfortable wearing one this evening and didn't bring one.
Otherwise, no change in policy or anything.
No change in policy.
Okay.
That's still an optional decision up to individuals to whether or not they're masked at City Hall.
Got it, thanks.
Thank you, Rebecca. John, go ahead.
I was just at CVS 15 minutes ago and asked about the new COVID shot, and they expect to get it next week. They're not sure, but it's highly recommended.
Thank you for that. Director?
Thank you, Chair. No comments at this time.
Patrick, anything else?
No, Chair.
Okay. At this time, we are going to move on to the consent calendar. Does anybody want to make a motion or pull anything? And were there any public comments on anything on consent? No.
I'd like to pull 3B3 and 3B6.
Well, then I'd like to hear those.
I would also like to pull 3B4 and 3B5.
So 3, 4, 5, and 6 leaves 1, 2, and 7.
1, 2, and 7, which I will move.
Okay.
Oh, it's a receive and file. I'm sorry. Number 1 and 2 are both receive and file.
7 is minutes.
And 7 is minutes, so I'll move 7.
All in
I'll
favor?
second it.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Oh, cool. So we are going to start with 3B3. 3B3, Administrative Coastal Development Permit Number 22-016, an application for a new on-site wastewater treatment system to replace an existing on-site wastewater treatment system serving an existing commercial building located at 22467 Pacific Coast Highway.
Okay. I have a couple questions on that. I talked to Adrian about this afternoon. This is a building that is 1,150 square feet. It has 20 employees, which is hard to believe. They get 50 square feet apiece. And it has, according to the report, has 224 gallons a day of discharge. And we're proposing on this to put in a 3,634 gallon tank, and 4 pits. Now, they're no longer in effect, but at one time we had a permit to put buildings on where the tanks are. My question is, it seems massively excessive. I mean, it'd take you 15 days if it didn't perk at all. And it perks apparently something like 6,000 gallons a day just to fill the pit, one of the 4. So you could go 2 months without perking anything. And I'm wondering why it's such a big tank and why it's needed when it only does 224 gallons a day.
Good evening. All right, so
You're not on. There you go.
yeah, the size of the tank was, it's been recommended and approved, by our environmental health division here. So I'm still trying to understand what your question is.
Well, my question is, why? Okay, I know that the environmental department only cares about the minimum. But to me, this appears to be capable of handling a 10,000 square foot building with 100 employees. This is a 1,150 square foot building with 200 and something gallons, and the tank is 3,600 gallons, and each pit is like 5,000. You could go a whole year without perking anything, and it perks 6,000 gallons a day on one pit. So are we looking at an office building coming in, or is this is there any reason why they need massive septic for a tiny building?
I can reach out to the building official to find out about minimum tank sizes, because that's not within our zoning ordinance. That's under the building code. But the particular tank, as you mentioned, is slightly over 3,000 gallons. And tanks come in standard sizes, is my understanding. And I know just over the years, things have changed from 900 gallons, I think it was 1,500 gallons. And so this may be a situation where it has to do with the code minimum. But in terms of a larger office building, if they were to come in here and try to build an office building later on, the way our codes are written today, even if they manage to find a way to make it exempt from a coastal development permit, in our municipal code, there is a section that states that any expansion of a commercial building by more than 500 square feet requires a conditional use permit, and that would come to this board. So anything that they do is likely going to be presented to the Planning Commission if that is a concern of this commission. It will not be, unless it's a small remodel at a staff level.
So when we approved, it was about, I believe, 7 years ago, when we approved another office building there, that wouldn't have helped them to already have the septic. Would they have to come to us if they wanted to put 10,000 more square feet on this property?
Yes, the way the codes are written, I believe that would require a coastal development permit. But like I mentioned, in our municipal code, there's a section that says any expansion of 500 square feet or more requires a conditional use permit, and that would have to be at the commission level, not director level.
No, I understand that, but they would say, I already have a giant septic system. I don't need a CDP for that.
Yes, the septic may be there. Let's say they have a giant septic system, but the development would still be coming before this commission. So you would have an opportunity to review whatever the addition is. Unless, like, if it's something small, if they did a 300 square foot addition, I believe that would be handled through the director review process. But more than that, I believe would come to this commission.
Okay, I'm just concerned about piecemealing. That answers my question there. Do you want me to go on to the other one, or?
Are you?
Yeah, I'll make sure, do we have any public comment for this one, Parker, and then Zoom?
No, there are no raised hands.
Sorry,
Well, let him go through
Don,
before. What?
are you good with this one? Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3B, Jeff?
Yeah, let me just comment that when I built our house originally, that the minimum size tank was 1,200 gallons. 1,500 gallons was common. 1,500 gallons is now the minimum for a conventional system. But these microsept tanks are routinely 3,600 gallons. I don't know why, but they are. The one that we're putting in with our new advanced wastewater system is the exactly same size. For some reason or other, they just have to be that large. So I hope that helps.
Greg?
Yeah, now we're looking at 3B4, 20537 Little Rock Way in Big Rock. And a couple questions on this. The threshold question is, can staff please clarify, what is the status of any moratorium on building in Big Rock? I've heard different things about, because of the dewatering district and the concerns about overloading things there. Richard, you may have this. Is there any formal policy at this point about what you can and can't build because of that?
There is no moratorium. The only codes affecting development in the Big Rock area, it's a general code section, but it ends up being applied there because of the geology of the area, is the issue with slope stability. But there has not been a moratorium established by the city council saying that no development in that area is permitted.
Okay. And now I wonder, Commissioner Jennings may have answered this question for me on this one now, but there's a little bit of fuzziness around this house. It was a short-term rental until as recently as, I think, 2 years or so ago. We actually had friends from out of town who ended up staying there, 7-person family, and they all but 2 of them had their own bedrooms. So I think that means there were at least 4 bedrooms, and this is listed as 2 in the staff report. And in terms of this, going to what Commissioner Jennings just said here, the peak design flow, or I'm sorry, the average design flow is 286 gallons per day. We just had on our last agenda one on Bush Drive that was 900 gallons per day average, so 3 times as much as the design flow here. Yet this has the same size tank as the one on Bush, and again, it's the 3600. So maybe you answered that, but the concern here is, are we basically, in approving a tank this size here, are we opening the door for building that's, potentially 3 times the impact on the water table there, because we could theoretically now be increasing the design flow 3 times of what they're saying is on site? Does that make sense? And I'm not sure.
I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I don't think that if that's what the engineer is recommending that they put in and that's what they're calling for, I don't think there's any reason or mechanism for us to not approve that, other than really looking at what we see on the plans that come forward.
So the catch would be if and when an application comes for more building, that's the time when we would say, how much more is this?
And if an application comes for more building, then we're going to vet that at that time, and you're going to see if that system works or it doesn't work, and they may have to put in another system. It could be a remodel, it could be a new structure, it could be an addition. There's like multiple different things that could come through that.
Well, a question. Does the city check and see? Craig just basically said they have more bedrooms than they're claiming. Does the city actually count the fixtures and look at the structure, or do they just believe them?
Yeah, we do calculate, we check the fixture unit worksheet, which, adds up the existing fixture units and the proposed fixture units, and, we compare those with what we have in our records, so we do count those.
But if they looked up your records and it said they had 26, so they put 26 in their application, do you actually go see if they have 26?
The planning department does not, but I can ask if the building inspector, when the system's installed, does look at it. We typically rely, and I was just going to bring it up, but looking at the assessor's information to see what they have on record to make sure there hasn't been addition to the house or some sort of unpermitted work. But typically with a wastewater system, unless there's some sort of code enforcement associated with it, the planning department usually doesn't walk the house and count bedrooms, or walk on the, we have gone out to look exterior wise for septic systems, but usually a home inspection like that, unless there was something that triggers it, like a code enforcement case or something like that, we usually don't walk the home, the interior of the home.
But the design flow is part of the number of bedrooms is part of the design flow criteria, right? It's not just fixture units, correct?
It is, and that's why I mentioned the building department, because this review is done in the city's ESD department, not in the planning department. We are primarily paper pushers on this type of work.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the short-term rental on this, it was a couple years ago at least, maybe it was 3 years ago, and it looks like the property has since sold and changed hands, so that's not part of the issue right now. It's just that at the time, we were aware that the house was big enough to accommodate this 7-person family, and all the kids were excited because all but 2 of them had their own room. So, yeah.
Sort of what I'm hearing from both of you is that the concern lies with, you're saying, any resident is saying that the system is designed for this certain size, and you want the guarantee that that's what is actually there. Is that the way that we sort of understand that? If I came in for an application for a new septic system and I said I had 4 bedrooms and 26 or whatever, 40 fixtures, you want the verification that if that's what's actually going in there, then show me that you have 4 bedrooms and 40 fixtures.
Yeah, and if this were indeed a 2-bedroom house, and we're hearing that increasing the tank to 3,600 is what you do now, maybe you wouldn't worry much because you're still talking about a small household. But if it's actually 4, then you're really allowing for an expanded flow, which maybe doesn't make much difference in a lot of places, but maybe does make a difference in Big Rock.
Comment. I assume this is put in because of inspection on sale. And because Craig just said it was sold, you're supposed to put in have your system inspected within a year. But what I'm concerned about mainly is, to quote the most favorite politician in Malibu, Ronald Reagan, trust but verify. And if you have several extra bedrooms, you probably have a lot of electrical and plumbing work that never got permitted, which is, in fact, dangerous. That's why I was just wondering if we ever looked. But I guess that's not your department.
I can follow up with the building official on this to see what inspection they have or will be doing.
Would just come back to us and say, yeah, when something comes along like this, they actually count, they actually look or they don't look. That's all I want to know. Because we end up with so many, well, Skylar and I have been around here for many decades, and so is Jeff. And so is Craig. Everybody's over 50 years. We all know that there's a tremendous amount of historical bootlegging. Tremendous. So at some point, I just want to know if somebody looks. Not that I want to bust people, but certain things like that can burn down neighborhoods.
It might flood the neighborhood. In any event. Okay, so any other questions on 3B4?
I'm good.
So I think that's the question on that is sort of a more general thing. If we could get something back, obviously we get a lot of the on-site wastewater treatment system approvals. Some kind of verification in there is, I think, what's being requested to really know that what the person's applying for is actually what's there. That way the system's going to work versus us going out, somebody applying, us approving, then putting in a new system, and then the system doesn't work. That's what the concern is.
And then, Chair, apologies, just confirming, Parker, no one's online for Zoom for a public comment for this one, right?
There's a raised hand, but it was raised after public comment was called.
For this item specifically?
I don't believe we called. If I missed it, I apologize.
I didn't call public comment. I just went right into it. So totally my bad.
We can hear
But
you.
I'm happy to hear from him.
You want to hear? Okay. Joe Drummond.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I did look at the last operating permit of this file, and it did say that the fixtures were self-reported. And I know 5 years ago when we applied for our operating permit, Eli came in and he actually counted all the fixtures. But this year, when we had the renewal, they said you can self-report it. So I don't know. I think it should be verified before anyone can apply for a new permit. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you for that. It sounds like that's what we're moving towards at some point in the future. Okay, anything else on 3B4? Don, Craig, Jeff? No. Okay. Next one was 3B5. Administrative Coastal Development Permit number 20-067, an application for a new on-site wastewater treatment system to replace an existing on-site wastewater treatment system serving single-family resident at 3380 Sweetwater Mesa Road.
Yeah, I pulled that. Want to hear from me?
You did. Do we have any public comment?
There are no raised hands.
Thank you.
Just a question. The geotechnical review refers to a proposed new residence. And so I'm just wondering why we're looking at an OWTS application when we've got apparently a whole application in for a whole new house. Can we get some clarification on that? Thank you.
Good evening. So the applicants did submit an application in, I believe it was 2021 for an administrative plan review application, which would be a remodel. They haven't moved forward with it, so we would be issuing a letter stating that if in 45 days you haven't acted on the administrative plan review application, then we would close it or have them withdraw that application. So that's what they're referring to. And you'll see that it also listed in the OWTS approval, which says that it's currently a 5-bedroom house going to a 6-bedroom, which lists under a separate review. But like I said, they haven't moved forward with it. They have gotten complete letters, but they haven't resubmitted back to us.
The geotech refers to a proposed new house. Is that implying a more than 50%? You just said remodel.
No.
But this sounds like a tear down and build new.
Yeah, no, we did not. There is no application, and we have not heard from the applicant about a tear down. And so that may, I'm not sure if the geotechnical know more than I do, but the city itself, we just have the OWTS application, which is before you, and the administrative plan review application, which there hasn't been any movement.
So we just treat this as a new OWTS for an existing house.
For an existing house, which is why it was listed that way in the OWTS approval.
Question, if they came in within the 45 days with a bigger house, do they have to go through this again?
No, they're separate applications. So
But that one and this.
if it came in as a brand new build, a new CDP, then we would bring that CDP to this commission.
Without the septic.
If they were to need a CDP, then it goes together. But at this time, we can't assess, we can't make that assessment. So
No,
if
but
they were to
my question would be, we're giving them a CDP or a permit for an OWTS. And if they came in 32 days from now and say, here's my new house, would they have to go through review and come
Yes.
back to us again?
Yeah, so they would go through a review all over again, and if the septic system that you're approving today is too small and doesn't meet the bedroom fixture count, then you would have to review everything all over together, because at that point, it would be the new single-family residence with 7, 8, whatever the amount of bedrooms, whatever the amount of proposed fixtures that they would do with a septic system, because you have to approve it with a septic system at
Okay.
that point.
Is that it for that?
That's it.
Okay, I'm 3B6.
Okay, so now we're on 3B6. No speakers on the last one, right? Nobody came up? No? Good.
This one is fairly,
There is for this.
This is de minimis waiver number 21-023, an application for a new on-site wastewater treatment system for a Woolsey fire affected parcel located at 710 Birdview Avenue.
okay, I don't know how to handle this one. Well, I had learned something tonight. It was an even number on Birdview, and I found out it's on the wrong side of the street. So that's very strange. I've never seen that in Malibu. But the staff issued this on September 7th, and today's the 18th. So I'm assuming that it's past due. There's no noticing it's noticed too late, too early. And I'm wondering if you have to reissue it to get it within 10 days of the approval.
The LIP section, I'm bringing it up now for de minimis waivers, so I could refer to it. De minimis waivers under
It's C2, Richard, I believe is what you're looking for.
C2 is, yes, exactly. It's 13.4.11 C2. What we're doing here this evening is we're reporting the de minimis waiver that it has been issued. However, we are required to give all known interested parties, including the executive director of the Coastal Commission, at least 10 days notification prior to be reporting to the Planning Commission. So that is why, if you notice, all of the de minimis waivers in your packet this evening were issued on the 7th. And that will give you the 10-day period. We complied with the Coastal Commission, and then now we're reporting it to the Planning Commission. Pat, am I correct on that?
That is correct, Mr. Director.
So this has already been reported to the Coastal Commission? So you said you have to do it within 10 days. Well, it's 11 days.
Right. And that was the, so.
And Richard, if I may, so the code says at least 10 days prior. It doesn't say 10 days prior. It doesn't say 10 or fewer days prior. It says at least 10 days prior. And I believe.
And this is 11 days.
Right, so at least 10 days means you can do it on the 10th day, the 11th day, 12th day, 13th day, so on and so forth.
I would think you'd have to tell the director within the 10 days. What happens if you tell him 5 months from now?
So I can't.
I mean, that sounds backwards.
All I can say is that at least in interpreting our LIP as well as our municipal code, at least 10 days. If we had noticed that 8 days, I would then say we have a big problem, because at least 10 days means 10 days or further out.
Yes.
Makes no sense at all to me. Okay. So why don't we just report them all at the end of the year and not have to deal with all this stuff? We just have a meeting and have 100 of them at one time. If we don't have to report them at any time in the future, we could report them actually every 5 years.
I think you might.
And that's the way you're explaining it.
I mean, Vice Chair, all I can do is read the textual language. I believe that practically staff and the Coastal Commission probably wouldn't appreciate that. There'd likely be some pushback if, as you said, we said for the next 5 years, here are all our de minimis waivers, best of luck. However, that's a scenario that I truly do not feel is very likely.
Yeah, I've just never seen the Coastal Commission say, oh, don't bother telling us until you feel like it. It's always, you got to tell us within 10 days. That's why I read it backwards. But I would suggest you consider a proposal to do that. We waste a lot of time going over these things, and we could have a whole meeting where we could bore ourselves to death on septic tanks and just do it once a year. So think about it.
Start stacking them up, Richard.
Yeah. Chair, do we have public comment on this? And I apologize if you already asked.
I don't think we did have any public comment on this, do we?
No, there's one raised hand
Oh, okay, good. Let's hear it.
from Heller Naylor.
Oh, perfect.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you, Heather.
Hi, I'm just here because I would like my de minimis waiver to be approved, and it's essentially signed off. So I just knew about the hearing, and I wanted to show up in case you guys had any questions or concerned. I'm the property owner, and this was a complete loss for me. And I've been working on this to rebuild my home. So this is a big step for me, and I'm hoping that we will be able to move forward. And that's why I'm here. So it's just me here to make sure that I answer any questions that any of you have.
Heather, thank you very much. I'm very sorry for your loss, as are all the other commissioners up here. The questions that were raised were sort of in a more generic setting, not specifically to the project. So I really appreciate you calling in and being available. And I don't think, does anybody have any specific questions for her? No. You do?
Well, I have no questions on this, and we should receive and accept, or whatever you say.
Okay. All right. So we will receive and file that. And we are now on to 5A. All right, we are now at 5A, which is Appeal 23-006, the appeal of the planning director's denial of the TUP number 23004 for the Malibu Triathlon located in Zuma Beach.
And before we can start, just want to confirm for the record, is Commissioner Smith on Zoom? Because if not, he's likely to be unable to participate should he get up and get out there.
Why don't you take 5 unless you know why you ready for them, because it's going to take a little bit of time.
Okay, we can reach out to you. Okay, perfect.
We will resume this at 7:20. Should it be louder? It should be louder. Now it's good. Okay. Just waiting for the video. All right, we got video. All right, so back to item 5A. Sorry about the audio on that. Appeal 23-006, which is the appeal of planning director's denial of the temporary use permit number 23-004 for the Malibu Triathlon at Zoom Beach. All right, we're going to begin with a staff report. Mr. Mulligan.
Good evening, Chair Peak, members of the Planning Commission. What you have before you this evening is the appeal of the Planning Director's decision for the Malibu Triathlon, which is an annual event. I think we can all remember my note from as a kid. The issue that arose this year, and this is a map of the modified course, is there is flooding in Zoom Beach crossing. And the application that was submitted to our department this year was the typical application that had the race course that has been used for many, many years. However, because of the undercrossing at Zoom Beach being flooded at Zoom undercrossing there, the applicant had to work on trying to find different alternatives. And some of those alternatives included looking at going up the cliff or moving the bike course towards the point field there, going out west of B3 into the county line, I believe. There were different alternatives being floated around. And unfortunately, at the time that they required public notice, our typical practice is to follow. I know the noticing period is not, there is 2 noticing dates given in that noticing section of the TP ordinance. The city's practice has been to use the most conservative of those dates, the 32-day notice. And at the time that the 32-day notice was required to be sent down, we did not have a final race course because of the issue of the flooded undercrossing. And we were unable to notice the project because we did not have a complete project. Since that time, the applicant filed the appeal, which you have before you this evening, and the applicant has also been working with our Public Works Department, and at this time they've proposed this modified race course that you see in front of you. And we have the Public Works Director here as well to answer any questions. And that concludes my report. The applicant is here for any questions, and I'll be glad to answer any questions as well.
Richard, thank you very much. Does anybody have any disclosures about this before we begin? Okay, well, I will disclose that I got a couple phone calls and encouraged some people to speak publicly if they, wanted to really have their voice heard, because I wasn't going to call all of you and tell them what they were going to say. So hopefully we'll hear from them this evening. Jeff?
Yeah, I had a telephone conversation with staff members today, but we basically just went over the issues that were raised in the staff report.
I did the same.
Okay. All right, so we are going to go.
I did talk to Trevor Rusin, who said he wasn't going to be involved in it. So, but I did ask him about it, and he really didn't have anything that wasn't in the staff report.
Greg, did you want to add anything? No? Okay. All right, so we're now going to begin with public comment, and we're going to start first with the people that are here, and then we're going to go to people that are on Zoom. If you are on Zoom, please raise your hand. Yeah? No, I said if you're on Zoom. I'm just telling people that are on Zoom to raise their hand in the application so that we know that they would like to speak. Oh, yes, an applicant presentation. What am I doing? I am just completely off script right now. So you have 15 minutes, and I forget your first name.
First name is Brent, last name is
All right, Ben. So you have 15 minutes. Would you like to reserve some time for what?
yes, it should be, I guess you have about 18 minutes.
Right.
Motion writing.
Okay. Do you want her to step today, or you see the time there? So
As long as you text me on the watch, recommended 8 minutes, and I make that short.
okay, you should let you get time in front of you.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. So again, thank you so much on this, and good evening, Commission. My name is Brent Linder, and I'm the race director for the Malibu Triathlon. We're here this evening to appeal the decision by the Planning Department to deny our 2023 event permit. Determination is based on time of residential notification per code 17.68.060. I will be presenting to you an overview of the event, the challenges created this year by the flooding that was happening at the underpass, timeline of this year's permitting, and our new modified course. And really, our ultimate goal is to allow us to continue to raise millions of dollars for a children's hospital in Los Angeles. Next slide. Oh, thank you. All right, Malibu has taken place for 38 years. This event attracts hundreds of Malibu residents, thousands of weekend warriors, celebrities, and active youth, professional triathletes, and corporate teams that raise money for pediatric cancer research at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. To date, I'm excited to say that we have raised over $18 million. This goes to state-of-the-art research for children's cancers that continues to save lives and keep families together. We have some photos really from our past events over here over the past 38 years. I do have to say that I got a photo from Chris Frost, not that he's endorsing this, but a great old photo there, as well as Ruth Garcia also on there. Next slide, please. Oh, sorry, I'm just looking at it. Just so everyone is familiar with the sport of triathlon, a triathlon consists of swim, bike, run. In that order, a person can do it individually or they can do it in a relay. For the past 38 years, that the triathlon has taken place here. They swim in the Pacific, they bike along PCH, and they run down the Point Doom. And the topic that we're talking about today is only the bike course. The other two areas have not changed at all per the original submission. This bike course has worked for the only reason is that there's 2 underpasses at PCH that cyclists can take without stopping traffic. So on race day, cyclists leave Zoom Beach, they go to the underpass, they go to the northern lane, over there that's coming out with vehicle traffic, go all the way down to Leo Creek, go underneath that flow relief, and then they come back safely again in a protected lane. Historically, when this underpass has been flooded during the spring, LA County beaches and harbors cleans out the debris. This happened for many years, and most recently in 2019. And if there is some little bit of water that's left, we've been allowed to build the temporary ramp to see if we can get our cyclists up over that water. Next slide, please. So this time I'll rehearse it right here, second slide. So this is one of the current photos that we've seen to date. So I've been following this actually through this year, and that cyclist, I've monitored this as well as over Leo Carrillo. I did notice at one point that Leo Carrillo had been cleared earlier this summer, which then got me a concern here with this. You know, because traditionally, as the worst case scenario, we could build a bridge. On August 11th, I contacted beaches and harbors to see what was actually going on at this point. I'm going to backtrack to this overall permitting process that we have going on here. January 25th, I emailed our TUP to the planning department. I was told that COVID is no longer an emergency here and that did submit in person. At the same time, I contacted SoCal Radius Maps, which does the zip code analysis for the city to do the notification. They submitted this data on February 1st. On March 8th, I submitted the TUP in person along with the printed list of residents. Over the next couple of months, they go April, May, June, July is when we do our secondary follow-ups from all the different agencies, planning, permit fulfillment, departments, and vendors. That takes us to Friday, August 11th. I contacted Megan Sherwood at Beach and Harbors, asking about the underpass. She then reached out to her team that moved that managed Zoom. That weekend, we spoke to the mouth whenever we heard that there were fish and bats in the underpass, and it was not to be cleared. At that point, we went into full action to what is actually going on. On Sunday, August 15th.
Do you mind pause for just a moment? We're going to switch you to a different microphone because apparently we're hearing you well in the room. The online participants are not hearing well.
Test. And I do have to say, at some events, I do jump in as an MC, so we'll go with this. Not that I'm good at it or not. But on Monday, I contacted Community Services Director, City of Malibu, about the underpass. She informed me that there's not an update. Connect with Beaches and Harbors because this is their jurisdiction. At the same time, I did receive an email from the City of Malibu Planning indicating that there were certain items complete and certain items that were not complete, which you can see on here. I then the next day on Tuesday, August 16th, received an email from Beaches and Harbors that they have been directed by outside agencies to not disturb the ecosystem. This is the first official confirmation that we've heard that the underpass might not be an option. So we contacted Caltrans immediately that day there to see what their time was, if they could even turn around and modify permit in the amount of time, because it's a very slow agency. We were told yes. And then Tuesday, August 16th, we began the process of developing and presenting various alternative routes to different agencies. One option, can we drain it? But no, it's a protected area. Option two, can we do the bridge? And suddenly we're hearing like, well, bridge might not be able to happen. We looked at using one side of PCH and then have bilateral traffic, but that was not safe, and we didn't want to pursue that. And then we even looked at, can we get all the cyclists to come out to Bush Drive, gather up when the light turns green, send them across with LA County Sheriffs, but that was a no-go. And then on Tuesday, August 22nd, Beaches and Harbors confirmed that we could have a larger meeting to get really clarity on who is stopping the clearing of the underpass. We had that meeting on August 28th with Ken Foreman, Warren Ontiveros, Mindy Sherwood. We should talk about previous ramps, and they gave us the contact for Fish and Wildlife that said that there will be no disturbing, no touching of the water at all. So this was August 28th. Around the same time, I received 2 calls, Planning Department, Public Works, saying, hey, the underpass is not usable. You need to get an action on this. And again, this is really when we started to learn that we could not make a ramp on it. We submitted a revised proposal to Public Works on Thursday, August 31st. There was concerns. This was actually a small looped course as well, too, but we were going up towards Heathercliff. But Public Works had concerns about the hill, the speed of the cyclists, so we said, hey, that's fine. So we submitted an alternate route. But then on Thursday, September 7th, we received a call from Adrian Fernandez, who I do have to say is an amazing individual. I don't know if he's here, I haven't met him, but he's been very helpful in this process. But he did say that our permit would be denied, solely as we had passed the required date for sending out the notices. The Planning Department also provided us with a possible course of action if we chose to appeal that decision, which we are doing tonight. On Friday, September 8th, we received the denial over there. We had 3 days to submit it in person. And again, on that Friday, I submitted revised routes to Public Works to review. Monday, came in person, submitted our appeal. Tuesday, our submitted route was accepted by the Planning Department. I put the email here from Public Works, which then leads us to where we are right now. This, which was shown earlier, is the course that we have. And really, this is the option we have to do since we cannot touch, it's dirt down there and a little bit of water. But this route over here, the swim and run, are exactly the same as in previous years. But bikers are now going to have a shorter course that we're going to space out further, so it's a much safer course as well, too. But if you envision yourself in your Zuma Beach, parking lot 7, you get on your bike, you're going to ride west or north over to Trancas. You're going to go out that emergency exit onto PCH into a protected lane that's set up by, not CHP, but LA County Sheriffs. You then go east and south all the way back to the entrance into Zuma Beach and come back in, and we do that 3 to 4 times. So this is the safest route that we've come up with, and really the only one that works with the conditions we're faced. But this route has been approved by Caltrans, LA County Sheriff, LA County Beaches and Harbors, and LA County Lifeguards. Lastly, and I'm sorry I speak so fast, I just knew it was a lot of information. I want to actually express my appreciation for the commitment really for, I'd say, the commission and even the department here for the permitting process. For I know it's difficult and you have to follow what the codes are. And while we always aim to adhere to established procedures, unforeseen challenges such as this flooding and more dramatically, the discovery of the tidewater goby fish in the underpass, it's really forced us to adapt as quickly as we possibly can. We have presented a revised proposal featuring the shortened bike course that is acceptable to the planning department. All other aspects remain the same per our original submitted plans from earlier this year. We ask that you please consider our event's history and its positive impact on the community, both in terms of fundraising for charitable causes and fostering unity through physical activity. And we're excited here to show this is one of our favorite teams up here, Sophia's Buddies, that is made up of surviving children, though you can see young Ethan up there, but they're one of the reasons we're able to raise $1 million each year. But we request that the Planning Commission reconsider the decision to deny the event permit and approve it with the adjusted route. I believe notices can go out as early as tomorrow, and we can make this event happen and continue our tradition. We remain committed to working closely with relevant authorities to ensure a responsible and safe event. And I seriously, from the bottom of my heart, want to actually thank you for considering this appeal so that we can continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this point, we're now going to go to public comment. If I say your name, you can come sit in the front. It'll help us along with this process. And we're going to start with in-person, followed by Zoom. So Don Wilcox, followed by Judy Villablanca, followed by William Gellner, followed by Colina Stephenson. And I will remind all of, I see you, Pam, you're in there. I will remind everybody that's speaking tonight, you don't have to take all 3 minutes. You can always say, I really like what that other person said. We hear you, absolutely. But of course, if you need to take all 3 minutes, you are more than welcome to. Don.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Dawn Wilcox. I am Vice President of Development and Corporate Partnerships at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. I am here tonight to voice my support for the Malibu Planning Commission to uphold the appeal from the producers of the Malibu Triathlon for their temporary use event permit for the triathlon scheduled to take place later next week. This year is the 17th year that Children's Hospital Los Angeles has been the charitable beneficiary of the Malibu Triathlon, and during that time, the fundraising athletes, as Brennan mentioned, have raised more than $18 million for pediatric cancer research at CHLA, including more than $950,000 this year. I believe we'll hit about $1 million in the next day or so. The participants fundraise with Children's Hospital Los Angeles' internal fundraising platform. Donations come directly to the hospital and are designated for our Cancer and Blood Disease Institute, so that its researchers, our researchers, can find faster, safer, and more effective treatments for children living with cancer. Our fundraising platform is separate from the race registration website so that we can ensure that every single dollar donated comes straight to CHLA for the intended purpose of advancing pediatric cancer research. I ask that your commission uphold the appeal and allow the 2023 event to go forward with the adjusted course. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Don. Judy.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Dr. Judy Villablanca. I am a physician who specializes in children's cancer. I've been on faculty at CHLA since 1989, caring for patients and doing clinical research. I've also been a resident of Malibu since 1999, and I am also here to ask your support to uphold this appeal for the triathlon and approve the short bike course. The triathlon is not only a great sporting event, but it really provides critical funding for research and clinical trials at CHLA for children's cancer. Our work is focused on not only curing more children, but also on finding therapies with less side effects and improve quality of life. I'm personally very proud to have been part of developing the therapies with my colleagues at CHLA that have actually resulted in changing standard therapy for some cancer, not only locally, but internationally, and also more children to be alive today with fewer side effects. Cancer research is really the source of hope when cancer touches your life and someone in your family or friends. And this year, this is even more personal for me. My 24-year-old niece was just diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And she is going to receive treatment based on many years of life and clinical research. She has an excellent chance of being cured. And she's going to receive less toxic drugs, a novel agent that will use her immune system to fight the cancer, and she likely won't need any radiation. And all of this is possible only because of years of lab clinical research, but it takes money. As a mountain resident, I'm very well aware, and I live on Winding Way, which you know well, of the impact of large numbers of people and traffic when we host events in our beautiful city. The Triathlon bike route that's now proposed does not go through or block in neighborhood streets. If you approve this appeal, the notice is going to go out to residents with less lead time than usual. But if you don't uphold this appeal, the funding loss is going to have a significant impact on our work at CHLA and the lives of our current and future patients. I think the right to value these two options is pretty clear. And thank you for considering my opinion.
Thank you very much, Judy. William, followed by Kalina, followed by Pamela Ulick.
Good evening. My name is William Gelner. I'm a resident of Mountain View. I live in Mountain West. The triathlon is literally in my backyard. I have moved here to California because I wanted to give myself and my family a healthier lifestyle.
I'm sorry, we're going to pause for just a moment again to try to see if we can correct your audio.
Just try it. How's this? Is this better? Excellent. So, as I was saying, I moved here to give myself and my family a healthier lifestyle. I lost my mother to cancer and my father, and I work in advertising, and I've raised a lot of money for St. Jude's through one of my clients, Expedia. And I thought, wouldn't it be really great if I could not only get healthier and give my family a healthier lifestyle, but also raise money for actually something in my backyard. And Children's Hospital, this event raised $1 million to sick kids and to research, as my these people just attested to. And I signed up, and this will be my 9th triathlon. Assuming yes, I approve it. This will be my 9th triathlon. I got to tell you, it is the most incredible event. It's the only reason why I do this for 9 years in a row. Get up. You don't just show up to this thing. You train, you swim, you bike, you run. You don't show up. And this is a really healthy, amazing community building event, and it raises money for sick kids. I strongly hope that you guys approve this appeal. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you for coming. And you're followed by Pamela, followed by Mary.
On the triathlon question, I'm a very unique position representing both Malibu as a resident of Malibu for over 22 years, and also advocating for Children's Hospital Los Angeles, the Hematology, Oncology, and Cancer Research Program. In June of 2014, just 1 week before her 11th birthday, my little cousin was diagnosed with leukemia. She passed away 2 weeks into her treatment, and she is the 3rd child in my family to pass away from leukemia. Pediatric cancer is very rare, but in the following year, in June of 2015, my youngest son, Quinn, was diagnosed with Earth-type precursor T-cell leukemia. A leukemia commonly referred to by pediatric oncologists as the perfect storm of cancers, and as a death knell by parents who have lost their children to this deadly cancer. This, my esteemed colleagues, is where my son's diagnosis, his treatment at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, intersects with the triathlon in question and the city of Malibu. Quinn only had an 11% chance of surviving the first year of treatment, but thanks to Children's Hospital Los Angeles and thanks to the cities like Malibu that hold this triathlon event to raise money for Children's Hospital Pediatric Cancer Research, CHLA was able to tailor Quinn's cancer treatment with advances made possible by pediatric cancer research that had been made only a few years prior. He is also part of a genetic research. He's a part of genetic research that's being conducted at Children's Hospital to find what could be the genetic landscape of his cancer, and also the key to developing immune therapies to treat this cancer. Just for a little bit of your information on pediatric cancer research, the NIH only provides pediatric cancer with 4% of its budget for cancer research. So to put that in perspective for you, that's $197 million for researching over 200 pediatric cancers, plus their subtypes, compared to breast cancer, which receives $558 million, and lung cancer, which receives $459 million. So my point is this: pediatric cancer relies on the generosity of private funding and from events like this triathlon held here in the city of Malibu. So, my esteemed colleagues, you are literally, not metaphorically, proposing that the inconvenience of the underpass and one morning's disruption to residents and beachgoers outweighs the significance of a child's life, my son's life, the life likely of another Malibu child diagnosed with cancer, because in the time that I've lived in Malibu, I've known 12 children that have been diagnosed with cancer. So we're here this evening because the CHLA triathlon in question is not metaphorically, not theoretically, but literally a matter of life and death for a child living with cancer. And you have the power to choose if a child lives or dies, to choose to close the door and extinguish the light on a beacon of light that a boy from Malibu is providing researchers at CHLA to find the key to the genetic cause of one of the deadliest cancers known for pediatric cancer, and to develop immune therapies that circumvent the life-threatening illnesses caused by chemotherapies currently used to cure his cancer. So as a resident of Malibu, I say to you, if we have a chance to save a child's life and to choose to support this event, then I say Malibu should not be counted out. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalina.
I need to interrupt. There's some really distracting buzzing noise coming from over here that, I don't know if it's like a bad connection or a bad speaker.
From his audio in his ear.
Oh, is that from Jeff?
Yeah.
Let's try and turn it down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it was just like, I felt like there was a bee in my ear. We'll find out.
It's definitely better. It's the night of the audio issues. I apologize for that. And Pamela, you're followed by Mary Kane and then followed by Steve Weissman.
I just want to say thank you for that last speaker. You're so eloquent. And for Quinn, who's here tonight, you are such a hero and an inspiration for all of us. And you're the reason that we're all here, is to help each other. But to have you here, I'm just in gratitude, and I'm just blown away at your courage and your strength. So tonight, I urge you to allow this event that's been going on for 20 some odd years to continue. I am a longtime local, and I've witnessed the power of this triathlon to allow us to grow stronger together as a community. I've done it about 17 years, give or take. I must confess, when I was the mayor of Malibu, I won the triathlon. I got in trouble because I beat J-Lo. Sorry, not sorry. So Chris Frost, I've witnessed him help these challenged athletes that go out. It's so beautiful. I've witnessed one local who is now training. She was in a near drowning situation, and she just was out there the last 2 Saturdays for the first time with PTSD, getting out in the ocean and growing stronger as a person and as a community. To be able to witness this and to give back is just why we exist, period. And I really think that this technicality, God bless the Tidewater Goby, but let's be honest, you guys have the power. You need to allow this to go forward. People have been training. People have been raising almost $1 million this year. You can't deny it on this technicality. It's no one's fault that the Tidewater Goby are here, but guess what? You have the power to allow this to continue. And I would urge each and Commissioner Jennings, Chair Peak, Commissioner Hill, Vice Chair Mazza, and our Commissioner online, each of you, this should be a unanimous decision, because you know what? Malibu has been supporting it. Our kids need it. When I was out there a couple of Saturdays ago, I met a 4-year-old named Florence. She survived brain cancer, and she's out there, and she's inspiring all of us. And if it weren't for Children's Hospital, she wouldn't be here. It's our privilege to be able to help these people and to help our children and their friends' children. I have 30 seconds left, so I'm going to close with Florence Fight On. I'm going to be running and biking and swimming in honor of Florence and in honor of you, Quinn, with the help and God and the grace of these commissioners to allow this event to continue after 20 some odd years, 2 decades. Thank you for your time, and I really trust you're going to support this great cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. Mary? And Mary, you are followed by Mr. Weissman.
Hello, Commissioners. Just please approve this permit. I'll just start with that. This is my 22nd consecutive year of helping raise dollars for Children's Hospital and the Pediatric AIDS Foundation. I don't know if you remember that's what Malibu Triathlon used to raise funds for, and they raised enough money to really make an impact on AIDS to the point where they could change their direction to Children's Hospital. So that is an important fact. Now, I coach hundreds of athletes who dedicate months of their lives to train and support this endeavor at the Malibu Triathlon. In 2004, I helped put together the Warner Brothers team. I wasn't even a coach. I just helped put together the Warner Brothers team. I proudly wear their logo. I have personally introduced over 1,000 people to the sport of Malibu at the Malibu Triathlon. It gives the everyday desk jockey a chance to find their inner athlete. It's not about the big major athletes, although the race can be like that. I've been on the podium. I am not your skin over muscle big triathlete. I've done 9 Ironman races, but the Malibu Triathlon, I come back to it every single year. This is one of the only races which promotes the entertainment business world to come together, having nothing to do with work, having to do with health, well-being, and an awesome cause. Wherever else have you seen Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal, you name them, all come together, train together, work together, and raise funds together? They don't do that in the normal world. They do it here at the Malibu Triathlon. With Ironman taking over all the small races, please let this race live. It is a worthy cause. It's a fun place. I'm on a stupid chat room, and they ask me, you do the Malibu Triathlon? Oh, I've always wanted to do it. They live across the nation. They want to come out here. They want to come out here to do the Malibu Triathlon because of the cause and because of the branding. You get to be in Malibu. I'm out here every single weekend, including during a year when I was going through my own cancer treatment. My team stayed with me, and we created a group of people who are a family. And that happens through training together in a small triathlon. And this one, and yes, Malibu's big, no, but it's in the triathlon world, it's considered a small triathlon. And yet it's got such a family that comes together and works together. And I would do the race with the smaller course, even though it's a smaller course. Please let this thing have breath and air and breathe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Steve?
It's hard to follow Coach Mary. She's the reason I entered the triathlon, the Malibu Tri, in 2015, having no athletic experience whatsoever, never swimming a day in the ocean, never learned how to swim, and I was talked over a glass of wine to sign up for the triathlon. immediately reached out to Michael to figure out who should I have to coach me. They directed me to Coach Mary. So we went out to Santa Monica, and that's when I learned how to dive under the waves, over the waves, hold my ground. Anyway, I introduced my son, who's now 18, to the Malibu Triathlon when he was 16 during COVID, trying to figure out a way for him to enjoy himself because he was restricted from hanging out with friends. So let's go running during the day. After work, let's go cycling on the weekends. Let's go swimming. I'll take you and introduce you to Coach Mary, who welcomed my son Max to his first triathlon. We borrowed a bike. I'm kind of digressing. I wrote stuff and I'm trying to think of, okay, what can I say to have an impact here? So lo and behold, my son, who was a short, chubby kid who wasn't really athletic, he took to running, cycling, and swimming very actively. And last year he reached the podium, 3rd place, but more importantly, he raised $28,000. We set up a website through CHLA. We thought maybe we'd raise $500 from friends and family. And we ended up raising $28,000. As a result of that, I took Max to CHLA to meet Dr. Wayne, who oversees the pediatric cancer department, who benefits from all these funds, to meet with the researchers to really have an impact so he'd understand why he's competing in this race and how he's making a difference. Fast forward to this past Sunday, Max and I, who are training with CHLA through their swim clinic program, basically met a family named Spencer Shaley and his son Aiden, who was diagnosed, their world was rocked February 3rd. I'm now reading from their page. February 3rd, we were rocked by news that our 2-year-old son Aiden was diagnosed with a brain tumor. We spent days in the hospital faced with the gut-wrenching pain of the challenges that lay ahead and the uncertainty of outcomes. It was an experience we never imagined ourselves facing and truly brought us to our knees. A few days later, Aiden underwent surgery at CHLA, which resulted in a full resection of the tumor and, to everyone's surprise, ended up being an extremely rare non-malignant mass. Aiden spent the next weeks and months at home recovering, and in September 2022 underwent eye surgery to correct the cross resulting from the tumor. The long story short is he's now doing well because of the health, because of the care and how the doctors and scientists worked with their family to provide this outcome. My son and I intend to both compete if you do allow for this permit to go forward. And this year we've also raised $11,000 in addition, making it a total of $60,000 over the last 3 years for CHLA. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. All right, we're now going to shift to our comments via Zoom. And if you haven't raised your hand, you must do so now. Otherwise, we're going to close public comment for any future speakers. Scott, did you fill out a speaker slip?
No.
You didn't, but you're going to, and you're going to come speak so we can move this thing forward.
You have to go sign something and come talk to you.
Just come talk and fill it out afterwards. Start that clock.
Push the button. Gentlemen, Mr. Jennings, Mr. Peak, Mazza, and Mr. Hill, I haven't met you yet, but proud of you guys. Thanks for being here for us, for what you do for this community. And I mean it from my heart. I'm here. I'm Malibu local since 1966. I live in Malibu West. I put 47 years on the beach at Zuma Beach. I was part of the first Malibu Triathlon. I've probably done 200 events in Malibu over the last 40 years. And, you know, I've had the privilege to work with Brendan at Santa Monica Pier for the 360 event. And I just wanted to give my shout out that this is the best director that I've ever been associated with. And whatever problems arise in the past, they're fixed. And they're going to support our swimming program at Malibu High School. And, you know, they're the real deal. And what everybody else said here is humbling. So I think I'll let it go from there. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Hubble. All right. We are now going to Zoom.
There are 14 raised hands. First is Josie Kletter.
Okay, let's make sure that we have it closed after that.
Okay.
It's not Josie, it's Jeff Kletter. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead. Sorry, it was signed up the other way. Go ahead.
No worries. You all know this is a great event. You've seen this event. You're all being there, and thank you all for everything that you do. I am in support of this event, and I'm a big supporter of Brennan as well. He's a great operator, and he does care about all the communities that he works in. So for that, I give him only the highest regard. The other speakers definitely, came to the heart and pulled the heartstrings, and it is a good cause. It is a great event. If things need to be solved, if things need to be changed, as you can see, Brennan will make that happen. So thank you all for your time. I support this. I hope you move forward with it, and I'll see you all at the beach.
Thank you very much.
Laura Weberling.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay. My name is Laura Katie Weberling, and I'm asking the commission to uphold the appeal of the permit denial for the triathlon as well. My story is my husband Kevin and I and our family have participated with a team Hans in memory of our own son, Hans, who we lost to the pediatric cancer neuroblastoma, which was a word I hadn't even heard when he was diagnosed in October of 2012. We've been a sub-team on the Sophia's Buddies, Friends and Family team since 2015. So this is our 9th year of competing. Our team Hans has raised almost $150,000 in his memory since that year. We come from up to seven different states in any given year. We used to live in California. Our son was treated at CHLA. We currently live in Oregon, but we return to Malibu annually with friends from across the country for this event. You all may be familiar with Sophia's Buddies. Sophia's Buddies is a larger corporate team comprised of, it's a friends and family team of childhood cancer survivors, warriors, and angels, and their friends and family who are swimming and biking and running in their honor and memory of these kiddos. And that team numbers anywhere from 20 to 100 athletes every year. And to date, Sophia's Buddies has raised almost $700,000 since 2015. The Malibu Triathlon is a truly unique event. Our son was diagnosed back in 2006. And in those 17 years, I've been involved as a parent advocate in the pediatric cancer community in a number of different ways. And there are really not very many events out there that raise this kind of money for pediatric cancer research on an annual event. This event is in rarefied air. The cause is obviously a driving force, but the setting is really the other half of this piece. I think that the allure and mystique of Malibu keeps people coming back year after year. Research is the only thing that can move the needle and save more children's lives. Cancer remains the leading cause of death by disease of kids in the United States. We still haven't cracked the code, and research is the cancer answer. Please uphold this appeal, partner with us to save more kids. Our Hans would be 20 years old this year, and what we wouldn't give to see him surfing those waves on your beaches. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
David Weil, followed by Dr. James Amatruda.
And just real quick, I would like to remind the speakers to please really try to focus on this specific event and the reason as to why it should happen this year in Malibu and why we should support or not support it. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm David Weil, a 65-year Malibu resident, former Planning Commission member, triathlon participant last year, and hopefully this year as well. I'm going to stay away from the medical issues. They've been eloquently spoken about by others, except to say that our daughter is doing a pediatric residency at Kaiser Permanente, and she rotates through Children's Hospital as part of her training there. The denial of the TUP should be overturned for the following reasons, and keeping in mind that the organizers of triathlon, two things. One, have always acted in good faith, and two, the delayed circumstances were totally beyond their control. There's a strong argument that organizers were not notified by the appropriate entities in time. The denial of the plan course, the August 24th date to get notices out, if you look at the timeline, they couldn't get a meeting with Beaches and until the 28th. So the 24th deadline was impossible to meet. Number two, the organizers have demonstrated over 38 years of this event that they seek to comply with all the requirements, unlike some of Malibu's other notable entities, call them restaurants, which do what they want, and then that's just the way it goes. This group doesn't do that. They come in advance and they try to comply with everything. I'm going to skip the part about how much money this raises for Children's Hospital LA. What it also does is it makes the city of Malibu shine. It's a fun, joyful, even exhilarating community event, and if you haven't been there just to watch, you should go, because it'll move you. It moved me. Hey, I didn't think I could do this, and now I am. Cancellation would be devastating to the 3,700 entrants and their families that are planning to come and participate and stay in our hotels and restaurants. Given a long history and ongoing publicity, organizers believe that most of the residents who will be impacted by the notice that you will be sent out tomorrow if you approve the denial already know the event's coming. And if you weigh the relative harm to late notice to the few people and cancellation of the event and what that would mean to the hospital and to the people training for it, I don't even think it's a close call. But I know you need to worry about precedent, as I recall worrying about it as a commission member. This is an easy one. It is what was a sui generis. It's so unique that it's not going to be a problem for you in the future. You've got an organization that's always acted in good faith, that has a 38-year history with the city. These are circumstances beyond their control. It's a showcase Malibu event. You got 3,700 people. Just remember, please, that justice is best served when tempered with compassion. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Dr. James Amatruda, followed by Rudy.
Hi, good evening, and thank you so much. My name is Dr. James Amatruda. I'm the interim director of the Cancer and Blood Disease Institute and the interim head of the Division of Pediatric Hematology Oncology at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. I'm here to voice my support for the commission to uphold the appeal and allow the triathlon to proceed. I won't repeat a lot of what's already been said very, very eloquently by others. I did want to say a couple things. One is I hope that the people of Malibu and the city recognize how very grateful we are and what a special relationship and support this has been over many years, and the huge impact it's had on children in Southern California, allowing us to provide the most cutting edge treatments and to develop new treatments for cancer. And this is something we really want to continue. The money that's raised through this event goes directly to research with any type of overhead or padding. It goes straight to the physicians such as myself and investigators who are developing new treatments for cancer. We treat any child who walks in the door at CHLA without any regard for ability to pay, and that's a tradition we intend to continue. So the reason I would hope this could go forward is that here during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, this event goes even beyond the impact of the fundraising dollars in creating awareness throughout the community, in fact, throughout the nation, of the need to continually try to improve the care we can deliver to children, not only here in Southern California, but the work we do has impacts around the world. So thank you so much for considering this appeal and hearing our comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rudy, followed by Sam Heckmian.
Good evening. My name is Rudy Garcia Tolson with the Challenge Athletes Foundation, and I'm here tonight to voice my support for the Malibu Triathlon. I am 35 years old. I am a double above the knee amputee, and in one of the first slides, there was a photo of myself alongside Robin Williams, who I first met back in 1997 at Malibu Triathlon. I've done the Malibu Triathlon almost every single year. And for myself and other challenge athletes around California and around the country, it is a hallmark event where we're able to show what our abilities are, not only for challenge athletes, but for other athletes who look forward to racing in the beautiful city of Malibu. And I hope that you can approve the permits so we can have the 38th annual triathlon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Hekimian, followed by Heidi Jansen.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Paul Hekimian. I'm the founder and president of LA Tri Club, and we've been a strong supporter of the Malibu Triathlon for the past, 23 years. And every year we bring hundreds of athletes to the race. And I want to speak on behalf of Brendan Linder, the race director, who has been putting on world-class events for a very long time. In this event and going through what he's gone through, it looks like that, he's done everything that he could possibly do to get this event off the ground. We put on a swim every Friday in Santa Monica. Last week, we had over 250 people swimming in the ocean on Friday, most of which are training for the Malibu Triathlon. It's almost unfathomable thinking that the race couldn't go on. So I can urge you, I beg you to please consider, approving the permit to have this amazing event that's been on for 38 years to not skip a beat and continue doing all the good that it's done. It's a one-day event that's raised more money for one particular cause. It's just astonishing. And I would love for all of you guys to dig deep in your hearts to let the permits go through, and let's all race next week and change lives. Let's just all change lives. We can make that appeal right now. We can literally do it with your vote tonight. Change lives. Would love to see it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Heidi Jansen, followed by Anthony McDamus.
Sorry, Bob Babbitt. Actually, I'm using my wife's computer. So I'm the co-founder of Competitor Magazine, co-founder of Challenge Athletes Foundation, and inductee into the Ironman Hall of Fame and USA Triathlon Hall of Fame. And what I don't think people realize is I've been involved with the Malibu Triathlon since the very beginning. Malibu is on a very short list of the most important triathlons in the country. In terms of shorter distance races, there's Alcatraz, there's Chicago Triathlon, New York City Triathlon, and Malibu. Malibu, from the very beginning, has been, because of the celebrity component, because of the charity component, because of professional athletes, Olympians, Ironman world champions who have raced there, has touched a nerve. And there's a reason that triathlon became an Olympic sport in 2000. And a lot of that was the media that had been created around the sport. And especially when you had Tom Cruise and Matthew McConaughey and Robin Williams and Jennifer Lopez participating in Malibu, that made triathlon a sport that was considered for both Olympic in 2000 inclusion and then Paralympic inclusion in 2016. And with the Olympics coming up in 2028, both those events, the para-triathlon and triathlon, will be showcased in the city of Los Angeles. It would really be a tragedy to see this event go away and miss a year. Especially when you talk about all the financial impact on not just on cancer research, but also when we started Challenge Athletes Foundation and Robin Williams started coming to our event with Rudy over the years, that brought a ton of attention to our athletes as well. And seeing wheelchair athletes participating in Malibu, seeing athletes like Rudy, and they meet the celebrities, and those celebrities become fans. Rudy was teamed up with David Duchovny at the Malibu race one year, and they became good buds. And when Rudy was training for the Paralympics in 2020 and had no place to swim because all the pools were closed, David Duchovny called up Rudy and said, "Come on out to my pool. You can swim there." And that became a USA Today, a People magazine. It became a national story. So obviously, my vote is to make sure this event happens this year and forever and ever, because it's one of the true classic triathlons in our sport. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony McDemus, followed by Bill Sampson.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
My name is Anthony McDemus. I'm a resident of Thousand Oaks. My company is Orbit Maps. I make the best map of Malibu. I've been a contractor of the Malibu Chamber of Commerce since 2015, a contractor of the Malibu Times in 2017, but I'm representing myself, Brennan, as a class act. This is a great event. Commissioner Peak, great shirt, by the way. I'm going to keep it to 30 seconds. 6 words, do the right thing, say yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Sampson, followed by Alethea She.
Good evening. Most of you know I've lived here 43 years. And this year, and this event by this operator, this is the 11th time on a 10-year contract that was assigned to this operator. The last couple of times it's run has been a disaster for many of us. I don't have any skin in the game because they've changed the route. It strikes me that the operator could easily have examined the underpass this winter and seen there's going to be a problem. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had an event where most of our planning rules were ignored and there was a payoff. Money shouldn't be it. We've got rules. I'm not affected this time. Some people, other people may be affected. They're citizens, and if they can't get notice in time, you need to deny the appeal. This could have been done quite a bit earlier. We knew that underpass was not going to work. Back when $1 million was still $1 million, over 30 years ago, I directed $4 million on behalf of a client to Children's Hospital Los Angeles. I am not unsympathetic to what happens at that institution. But if we let the money rule us, we wind up with the NCAA, or what is now the Pac-2. Look what happened over there. Let's just obey our rules. I'm sorry they couldn't do it. I'm personally glad the underpass problem happened because they're not going to lock me in my house for 2 days this year. But that's not really the guiding thing either. We got a bunch of rules. We've been ignoring them all too frequently. Don't ignore them tonight. Deny the appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alethea She, followed by Zach Geidzik.
Hi, my name is Alethea She. I'm actually one of the co-captains of the Disney Triathlon teams. And look, I can't say anything that's going to compare with some of the stories you guys have heard tonight, but I can bring a bit of perspective from the corporate teams that participate in this triathlon every year. We've participated with the Malibu Triathlon for the past 21 years, and we're proud of it. We're really proud that every single year we've been the highest fundraiser for CHLA by far. We're proud that we've raised over $200,000 this season alone, over $4 million for CHLA to date through the Malibu Triathlon. And I'm speaking today because I think we all appreciate that you're trying to do what's best to protect the wildlife that makes Malibu such a special place, right? But what's at question tonight here isn't simply a question of the ecosystem. I think we can all kind of agree that that's critical here. It's more a question of mustering the flexibility and courage that's needed to ensure that great causes like this one continue to thrive and bring the kind of community you're looking for into the city of Malibu for so many years to come, starting with this one. So every season from our team, we have over 200 active team members. They spend over 5 months preparing for this triathlon altogether. Over half of our team members have never swum in the ocean or run a single mile, but they get themselves to that start line and to that finish line, and they come out every single weekend because they know it's important. So I wanted to say that as one of the team's co-captains, I've seen our team members shine and thrive in ways that I think would absolutely stun you guys. And if you guys ever want to hop on a bike or pull on your running shoes to swim with us or bike with us or run alongside us, please come. You know, we'd welcome you, and you guys have welcomed us for so many years, and we appreciate that. And this is a community that we cherish and love, and we know that you guys love Malibu just as much as obviously we do. And so I just wanted to end by saying that this triathlon isn't about our teams by any means. It's about your city. It's about, you know, the place that we love and that we come to and flock to every triathlon season. And I think I speak on behalf of our entire team when I say that we stand behind CHLA, we stand behind the Malibu Triathlon, and we stand behind the city of Malibu. So there's a clearly viable solution here, and you heard it straight from Brennan tonight. We hope you'll consider it, and we dedicate these countless hours to supporting CHLA and the incredible work they do. We hope that you can do the same tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Zach Geidzik, followed by Randy.
Good evening. My name is Zachary Geidzik, and I'm here on behalf of LA County Supervisor Lindsay P. Horvath as her West Side and Coastal Field Deputy assigned to Malibu. I'm one of 2 deputies actually assigned to Malibu to make sure we can provide proper coverage of the city. Tonight, I urge you to move forward with granting the appeal being requested by the organizers of the Malibu Triathlon. The event has been held many years in Malibu, and the organizers have shown a dedication to having a well-organized and successful event that has brought in significant resources for pediatric cancer research. And I would also say that I've had the pleasure of working with Brendan Linder on many different events as I worked for Supervisor Kuehl before Supervisor Horvath for the past 5 years. And he has a true dedication towards the community process and trying to work with everyone in making wonderful events like these happen in a responsible and community-sensitive ways. With that being said, while process is an important part of any system of governance, we cannot let bureaucracy prevent us from bringing resources to those who need it most, nor stop us from returning to these yearly celebrations and moments to come together that have been taken from us during the pandemic over the last several years. And so I say on behalf of LA County Supervisor Lindsay P. Horvath that we support granting this appeal and ask you to allow this great community event to move forward. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great rest of your night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy, and the last speaker is Joe Drummond.
Good evening, planning commissioners. A family member of mine is scheduled to compete in the Saturday Olympic long distance race on September 30th, and this will be their 13th race. I found this all out on Patch because we were unaware of any delay or cancellation or proposed course change. We went on the websites, didn't find anything on it, looked on social media, nothing was mentioned. And so we tuned in this evening, and because of the audio difficulties we encountered, we are still very unsure of what the course will be if it's changed. And for the 24-mile bike race, I'm familiar because I read all the supporting documents about, the fish and the red tape and the 32 days and everything else, but we're still unsure of what the actual 24-mile race course will be. And if it's now going to be changed, perhaps what they can do is to keep the integrity of the race. Maybe the organizers could put more personnel and security detail and stop the traffic at the light, so they didn't have to go under the pass, but they could still have the same course. I'm unfamiliar with the new owners of the race. I remember Michael Epstein, and I know that he would have probably just hired more people to facilitate it, perhaps by stopping everyone at the light, all the drivers at the light, so that the cyclists can change. So in closing, I just want to know, since obviously there was a lot of audio difficulty and my screen kept going out and then all the audio was garbled, what exactly is the race? We're still unsure of what the race is and how it's going to change for the long distance race, which is Saturday, not Sunday. And it is a 2-day event. I know people have been calling it a 1-day event. Thank you so much for just clarifying that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
The last speaker is Joe Drummond.
Hi there. I do think that Ryan Embry wants to talk after me, but anyway, I did love hearing all the speakers tonight, especially the wonderful Malibu residents who love and support this event, and the touching stories from families local and those out of state, even who are affected by pediatric cancer. We know it's a world-class triathlon, as we personally are old friends with the coach of the first Olympic gold-winning Canadian triathlete who would participate every year. And I do understand the one person who spoke out about the following the rules. However, speaking judiciously, I think it is wrong that after over 5 to 7 months with no information to the triathlon, who put in everything timely and double-checked everything in April after getting the application ready in January and submitted early in March, that they suddenly were told that they couldn't use the underpass. We've all known for months it wasn't able to be used, so why weren't they informed sooner? They have an alternate route and won't block any driveways or exits, and have raised almost $1 million, and over 3,700 participants are scheduled, according to David Will. It's crazy to cancel so last minute, and everyone knows it's coming, so it is true. I hope they do get a pass if residents stand up and say they support this event and participate. It has been going on for 38 years. And as an aside, one of my best friends in Toronto just passed away last week at the young age of 56 from ovarian cancer. So I do hope that more fundraising efforts will be made towards ovarian cancer in women, as well as in other events. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. At that time, this concludes public comment. Brennan?
They had rebuttal time.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling them up. So you have some rebuttal time here.
Brennan, you have 5 minutes and 7 seconds of rebuttal time remaining.
Thank you. I'll be quick on this as well, too. I'm not sure about the past 10 years with the different assignees of the event on that. Super League Triathlon acquired this in 2020, right before the pandemic. And so I've been in charge of the event. This is our 3rd year doing it. The overall impact, as a speaker said, actually has declined over the years when we acquired it. There was a longer course that the previous owner had that, when I came on board, said you have to get rid of this because it does not work for this city. So we got rid of a long course, which shortened the closures as well on that. Trying to think what else. I'm not sure about the comments, that we have not done a good job. I don't necessarily agree with that, but again, everyone does have their opinion. And then the other comment, I believe, was about hiring different police officers. There was a woman not knowing the course. We are having to condense the course to a smaller loops around Zuma Beach. And I think the comment, too, was that a previous operator could have hired more police officers, but it's actually not safe to do so. That would be a very poor decision if somebody did that. We worked with LA County Sheriffs, Caltrans, and even the public safety here of the city of Malibu, and we all agreed that that would be an irresponsible decision to do, as much as I would love to. I mean, I would love to get 500 cyclists out there cross and get them on the original route. I'm a triathlete, I'm a racer, I love sport, but not possible. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you to all of the public speakers and Brennan. Commissioners, would anybody like to start off?
Chair Peak, I did just want to let you know that we did have a late hand raised in the meeting after we had closed virtual speakers to give you the opportunity to decide whether or not you wanted to hear that person.
You guys want to hear him or no? Sure. All right.
Ryan.
Ryan, you got 3 minutes. You there?
I don't think I'll need 3 minutes.
Great.
I wanted to make sure that the city has the most review of a safe plan for this event, if it's to consider it. Because back when I was on the Public Safety Commission in 2003, I had to make a terrible phone call to another member of the commission, to Carol Randall, who'd been working at my side for the city for close to 20 years on traffic and transportation issues. And I said, Carol, turn on the television. She said, what channel? I said, it doesn't matter. It's on every channel, or will soon be. And that was the July 16th massacre that occurred at Santa Monica Farmers Market, because somebody got a little impatient, drove around a barricade and plowed down the closed street and killed people. And that is exactly what this event can never do, cannot do. Of course, the city of Santa Monica was sued, and they did everything wrong. And, you know, there had to be physical barricades between vehicles and where the people were who were not driving. And so when you have mixed uses on a public street, we're trying to change and do something different, and you cannot control the public behind the wheel. It's very important, and I would actually commend the city staff for pulling the fire alarm on this one and saying we have to err on the side of public safety, that this has to be fully conditioned and reevaluated based on changed circumstances. And I can certainly understand why this is an extremely effective and worthy fundraising organization, but we can't put lives at risk so that we can continue a tradition of benefit. There must be conditions and safety improvements to this plan if it's to proceed. So the city has traffic engineering consultants and extra resources available. And if it can occur, you would already know, and you will be told by your city staff. So I would just tell you to err on the side of caution if there's any indication that this is not going to be a safe event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ryan. You do have some more rebuttal time after that.
Perfect. I'll be brief on this. And safety is actually our number one concern on this. I've produced over, hundreds of events, and we will not do anything, whether it's deemed not safe by myself, but more importantly by LA County Sheriffs, Caltrans, and any permitting agency. The course that we've designed is actually within the footprint of the previous course that we've done before. So there is no additional risk that's put out there. And actually working with Public Works, we tried to do something different. He said no, and I said, you're right, we're not going to go that route. But again, this is within the existing course that has happened before, and I've actually impressed upon LA County Sheriff to provide us additional officers for this event because I don't want anything to go wrong.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, Greg, you want to start?
Oh boy, okay, I'll start. I'm a big supporter of athletics. I participated in similar events when I was younger. I have a parent who died of cancer, a lot of friends. I'm still living very close to it. I support the aims and the goals here wholeheartedly. The problem that we have here is that this is not just about bureaucracy. We are being asked to break the law. The noticing requirement is the law. And whatever the blame is, who's ever responsible, whatever could or shouldn't have been done, everything that has happened after August 24th is unfortunately irrelevant right now. And I'll go into some detail on that, but let me first skip to the remedy here, because I think this event should go on. We shouldn't be having to cancel it, but unfortunately what we do have to do is reschedule it. And I think the soonest it could happen would be the weekend of October 21st, which would give the window for the noticing requirement if everybody's got their ducks lined up. Because, for all the benefit and all the good and all the community that this creates and fosters, there's another side to the community that benefits from the due process requirements and from following the laws. And this is you know, if the appeal had been about something that was within our discretion, like we're denying it because the shape of the course doesn't meet some subjective criteria or something, then we'd have something to talk about. But it's really unfortunate, it's really sad, and I think a travesty that everybody's had to come here tonight and put all this attention and write their speeches and spend the time to come talk about this, because we should be having this event, but we can't now because the notice hasn't happened. That's due process. That's the law. We can't just ignore that because, you know, we think it's a good cause. That's not a path that we want to go down. And then somebody else is going to, you know, want to do something that you don't like, and they're going to come and say, well, we don't need the noticing, or we don't whatever. And you're going to be like, well, hang on. You know, I just don't see the precedent here. So, I mean, basically, the issue became clear on August 11th, 13 days before the noticing period began on the 24th. The city sent email on the 14th, so you had 10 days to look into reconfiguring the course and figuring that out. So there was time there, and I think, I mean, yeah, this should have happened months and months ago. Beyond that, I don't think we can necessarily blame anybody, and it's not a time for recriminations or, you know, who could or should have done or said what when. The fact is, we have this black letter requirement in front of us, and we do not have the discretion or the authority to break the law. We just don't. So the question in my mind is how can we, you know, readjust and reaccommodate and make this happen in a time that satisfies the legal requirements. I don't know. I guess that's my first rough cut on this. And the whole thing is just very unfortunate. And I'm just very sorry that everybody's had to come in and spend their time, you know, figuring out their piece and all saying really helpful, constructive things. And, you know, they're all things that I personally support. But we have a black letter thing in front of us. And I just don't see how we get past that.
John?
Yeah, first I wanted to ask Brendan, is it Brendan or Brennan? Brennan, I'd like to ask you a question. Could you come up to the podium? I'd say 90% of the people here are here because of the cancer angle on this. And I misunderstood reading the staff report because it doesn't really talk about that. But apparently, from what I can understand, the money is raised by individuals and given directly to the hospital.
That's correct.
Okay. By canceling the event, what does that have to do with the money they've already received?
It's a great question. It's something that we haven't even discussed yet with Children's Hospital. You know, it'd be tragic if the event was canceled and, you know, fundraising would stop on that. So I really don't have an answer.
But as I understand tonight, they're very close to having the money already.
We are. It's the fastest we've been able to raise this much money after the pandemic.
Okay, so it's not a sure thing that money is not going to the hospital. Is that correct?
It's not a sure thing that it's not. The money is already with the hospital now, too. I just don't know what would happen if the event stopped.
Okay. Yeah. Now, my second question is, you're a for-profit organization, the people you represent, who put on the event. Correct?
The tax classification, yes, is for-profit.
So the money going to the hospital is outside of your control as far as a corporation, and you are actually making money by having this event happen.
Events such as this typically are for-profit in the sense that we then partner with nonprofits and we use the event as a vehicle to raise money. Now, making a profit and being for-profit are two different things. So this event does not make a profit yet. We're aiming towards that, but as you can probably assume, to have a staff of 220 people come out, you know, and raise money as well as pay for the volunteers, their per diems, we're not at a profitable place yet.
Right, but you purchased the business.
We did, and we purchased again in February 2020 when
Right, you walked
different
into
times.
You walked into
we took the risk. Yeah.
Closed door, okay, but I've seen the presentation here, and it's basically about cancer. Okay,
Yes.
now there's some speakers that say, "Yeah, I'm a jock and I love it, and Malibu's pretty, and this and that," but the two are two separate items, as far as I can tell. I could not tell that from the staff report. I thought you gave them the money. You earned it and you gave it to them. It is possible that this event doesn't happen and the hospital still gets a big chunk of money. Is that a true statement?
It could be. Again, we haven't fully discussed it. I don't want to promise or say anything yet.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I do. Can I add one thing?
Well, as long as it's apropos to what I asked you, you can talk.
It is. We had a full county audit of our finances, which the city can have access as well.
No, I understand that, you know, there's a business of athletics and it's a legitimate business. Otherwise, Stan Kroenke wouldn't be here, you know, in Malibu. Okay. Now, I have to reiterate, that's all I'm going to ask
Yes,
you,
sir.
I think. I have to reiterate what Craig said. We are appointed by council members. Steve Euring appointed me. My only obligation and my only power is to follow what the city council has passed. We are not allowed to pass any law. In fact, when we review a law and we go to the city council, after reviewing it, like we just did the ADU law, they don't even get a staff report that says this is what the planning commission wants you to do, okay? These are suggestions. We have zero power to make laws. And unfortunately, in this case, the city council, which includes one city council sitting here member, and Skylar and Pam Ulick and Jeff Jennings, who were on the city council, passed the municipal code. And our municipal code says we can't do this. It says we may not do it. It says you must mail a notice. Now that came to heart here when a month or so ago we had this big party on the Broad Beach. It was a tenth of the size of this. And they really wanted their party and the girl was going to get married, so the city did a deal with them, which the city council came out and said, no, never do that again. You're not authorized to. You can't have these pay for play, is what one of the councilmen said. And that's sort of the situation we're in here. We're being told, gee, the hospital is going to be out $1 million, and you guys, you know, if you vote against this, you're bad guys because you're for pediatric cancer or something like this. But Craig's correct. It says you must mail notices. Now, we had one speaker, I think her name was Randy, who said she found out about this on Netflix. Well, maybe she doesn't read all the stuff that the city sends out, but you have about a third of Malibu who lives north of this, and they've received nothing, absolutely nothing. So if we send the mailer out tomorrow, if it actually goes out tomorrow, hits the post office, they might get it by Friday. Well, the event starts Saturday. It actually starts Friday on setup. In a week, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is we cannot do this legally. Now, there will be people who say, well, gee, but it's right, so you got to do it. Well, that's the city council. And if you lose tonight, you can go to city council and appeal. The same way as somebody who didn't feel like they were noticed and this is approved tonight can go to the city council. There's very little time to do that because the noticing period's there. In fact, I don't know if it's possible. There are requirements on 3 days to post it, and this and that and the other thing. So I hope you understand that at least Craig and I so far, what we're trying to do is follow the law, and it says that you must mail notices, and they give you, I forgot, 32 days. We haven't mailed one, not one. So nobody's been notified, and the law says you must notify. That's the same problem that we had on Broad Beach, the party. Nobody knew about it. And the neighborhood got caught with a big party, and it was a big brouhaha. So Craig is correct. We can't make laws. We can interpret them, but when it says you must, that's from the city council. That's endorsed by the Coastal Commission. We got to get permission to change things. It's a big process. And so we can't say to the general public, well, this was a good cause, and so we're going to let them do it. But this guy over here that wants to do a rodeo, we don't care about rodeos. Or he's raising money for the American Nazi Party or something. We can't do that. Unfortunately, because I think this is a very valuable event. I've known Judy for years. She does wonderful things for children. I've known a lot of my friends who've died of cancer. But we don't have the power. Okay, and the power resides with the planning staff, and they must follow the law. They would have sent out the notices if they were allowed to. I have some questions about, for example, I was going to ask about the turnaround at Westward Beach every single year, and I've been on the Planning Commission a long time, and this is a different operator. Every single year they said, oh, we will close no public streets. And they close Westward Beach Road every single time. Because how are you going to turn around at the end without closing it? There's things like that. They're minor. They're things we could fix. If the notices had been sent out and somebody was going to appeal and said, well, you shouldn't make them go around 3 times. We could figure that out, and we have the power to change that. But when you miss a deadline, and the problem is, you're saying really to us that on March 8th of this year, which is a long time ago, you applied. And between March 8th and now, it didn't get corrected. And you can say, well, this agency didn't tell me this, or this agency didn't tell me that. But everybody on the west side of Malibu knows that underpass has been closed for at least a year. Everybody knows it. There's things like that which could have been discovered without having to wait for Caltrans to tell you it's closed. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is we don't have the power to do it. And if we start assuming that we can take the place of city council members who pass these laws and these ordinances, and we can ignore them, the system blows up. And so I would really hope you could do this. I think, personally, I don't think that the people who gave money to the Cancer Society will demand it back because there wasn't a race, and you can have a race next year. And the 38 years will just have a skip in it. And I had hoped that, I wish that somebody had really jumped on this a couple weeks earlier. That's all it was a couple weeks after March 8th till now to get the paperwork right. But we can't change it. That's it for me.
Jeff.
That was my initial reaction, was pretty much the same, except I got into looking at the statute itself and found that even though we just reviewed these particular statutes about temporary use permits, there's an ambiguity here that is confusing and may give us an opportunity. The statute in question, or the ordinance in question, is 1768-050. This is the one that talks about the 32-day notice. But the initial paragraph says, a temporary use permit approved by the planning director will be required, et cetera, et cetera. A public hearing shall not be required for the issuance of a temporary use permit. However, a 5-day public notice of the proposed event shall be provided as follows. And then goes on to talk about 32-day notices, and it's confusing. If the 32-day notice is definitive and absolutely black letter and we can't do anything about it, what's that 5-day notice language doing in there? So, you know, it's not great. It's not something I would be really all that happy arguing to a judge, but I'm not really in that position. I'm looking for a reason to allow an event that's been going on for 38 years to continue. I participated in the first one. I was a volunteer, and my job was to stand next to a speed bump in the parking lot, and as bikers came by, I would say, watch for the bump, watch the bump, watch the bump. I was a talking traffic cone. But that's the extent of my involvement. But it is an event that's valuable. It's an event that a large number of residents of Malibu are evidently deranged enough to want to participate in swimming and running and biking and doing all of that. It's a huge event for our community. It's been going on for a long time. The route is basically the same. I feel sorry about dropping those tidewater gobies into the creek, you know, and that is a larger problem that's going to face the city. That underpass has to be cleared. And I remember 10 or so years, no more than that, 15 or so years ago, when it was blocked the last time, and it's everybody and his dog has a hand in that. It's the city, it's the county beaches and harbors, it's Fish and Wildlife, it's Corps of Engineers, it's the Defense Department for all I know, but everybody has their hand in it, and it was virtually impossible to get anything done when we were just trying to get the thing cleaned out, a job that would take a skip loader and a truck a half a day to do. It's a danger to the people who live on Point Doom, and it needs to be addressed. I hope that somebody on the city council level will make it a priority to try to get rid of that problem. But that has nothing to do with what we're here about tonight, except to say that it really isn't the applicant's fault. It's not the city's fault in terms of the staffing. The problem of having a delay in getting an approved route is not great, but I think we can overcome it. And I'm willing to support granting the appeal based upon the factors that I've mentioned just now.
I was just going to do that, but go right ahead.
I was just going to say, can we ask staff for a clarification of the interpretation on that code
I think
section?
that we should ask that of Patrick.
Can I just point one thing out first before you ask him?
You may.
And that is, this is very clear. This is 17.68.050, very first sentence. A temporary use permit approved by the planning director shall require. This was never approved by the planning director. So that's black letter.
I understand.
That's not ambiguous. It's not ambiguous at all. It was not approved. This is for people who are appealing approved issues. So you cannot take the law and just say, well, yeah, but I read it this way, when it's very clear, very first sentence.
Let's hear from the city attorney on that, and we can discuss it.
Correct. So I am not going to sit up here and say that this is the pinnacle of clear statutory writing. My office, of course, was involved with the staff report. Staff has historically made it the idea found in 1768-050D that says public notices shall be mailed not less than 32 days prior to the event. That's been our practice. That is what we have instituted. That reasoning and legal support are articulated in your staff report. Now, that being said, it is not my job to stand up here and tell you guys how to vote. You guys are all well aware of the nuance and obviously Commissioner Jennings' argument that maybe indicates that he sees some wiggle room. Staff stands behind the staff report. My office stands behind the staff report, but I will just leave it at that. It's not my role up here to say you guys cannot vote a certain way. I will say there are clearly risks associated with going one of two possibilities. Those risks include appeal to the city council, risk could potentially end in a lawsuit before a superior court judge. But that's kind of the reason why you guys are up here, to make the decision. This is not an easy one, I agree, but Chair, I hope that answers the question. And if you want me to elaborate further, I can.
According to the rules of statutory construction, and maybe you can say if this is wrong or if there's an exception, when you have two competing clauses in something, the normal rule is you go with whatever is more restrictive, right? How would you say that's not true?
Right. Well, so I would caution that, there's kind of two different worlds here. There's our interpretation of our municipal code, and then the way a judge. So I'm going to put the way a judge, because this is just me guessing, to decide. And Commissioner Hill, you are correct. It has been staff's practice and Richard, you can back me up on this, probably multiple decades. Anytime we have provisions in either our municipal code or LIP, the most restrictive does apply. Now, typically it's not a seemingly, I don't want to say contradictory, but usually we're not looking at the exact same section. Usually it's, one section over here that says one thing, and then another section in the LIP, or a completely different chapter in a different section. And Commissioner Hill, you are right. In that instance, it has been staff's, practice to say we are going to go with the more restrictive.
What would be the rationale for going as Commissioner Jennings is and saying, well, I see two different numbers here, so I'm just going to, I think, sort of in a spirit of, I don't know, constructive something, community something, I'm just going to say, pick the number I like.
And so I'm not going to put myself into the mind or opinion of Commissioner Jennings. I'm going to simply be somewhat redundant. Staff stands behind its staff report. That being said, it's not my job to come up here and say you guys must vote a certain way or cannot vote a certain way. If I felt there was a single iota of confusion amongst any of you four about this topic, I would jump in and do my best to explain it. You guys have all been doing this a long time. You have your finger directly on the pulse of the nuanced issue, and whatever decision you make, that is the will of the commission.
I'm just going to start my comments by saying, first off, I appreciate the speakers for being here. This is actually very frustrating to deal with something like this when I think we have a great operator. It's been attested to by many people. We have an issue that I think out of every speaker, even the one speaker that was throwing or two speakers that were throwing a little question on this, they're actually saying that it doesn't really affect them that much. We haven't heard from anybody that would be affected by this route in any negative way. And I think it's up to us up here to make a decision that is the right decision for the community, which is to see the event go forward. So I know that if we don't make that decision or we lock up on a 2-2 vote, this goes to the city council, and then the event likely happens if it can get there in that amount of time. That would be my anticipation of that. And I really believe that it's our job up here to look at each one of these projects and apply the codes and rules to them. And in this situation, I think that you have an applicant who did everything in their power and tried to follow everything. We've even heard from the representative of the county encouraging the event to go forward. I have had experience with this event. We used to be a lifeguard for a long time, so I worked the event as a lifeguard. I've had the unfortunate experience of pulling a swimmer that had a heart attack out of the water and done CPR on him on the beach with other people while his family's there, and he passed away. Completely unrelated, great learning experience. Everybody was there for all the right reason. And this is an event that brings families and communities together. It's an important event. I don't think any of us can say here that if anybody has lived in this community for any substantial amount of time or even recently moved here, they've probably heard a neighbor or somebody else possibly talk about the event. I think it's a very positive thing for Malibu, and I believe that the only reason why he's here is, or why this is in front of us this evening, is really because other agencies and in their entirety don't always get back to us as quickly as we would like them to. And sometimes that could even be the city for that matter. So I think that they were trying to do everything in their power to move forward and have clearly worked with our staff. And if I ask Rob to come up for a second, you are completely confident with how this plan has been proposed and whatnot in terms of it complying with all the requirements of Public Works. Had this not been held up on the noticing issue, this would be approved and there would be no question.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yes, we worked with the race directors trying to come up with different options. They came to our department to actually look at what they can do to solve the problem of not going underneath the Zoom undercrossing, come up with different scenarios, and the scenario that they showed you during their presentation is the one that shows the least impact to the community. It provides a safe route for the pedestrians, participants, and everybody doing the event.
You can ask him a question in 1 second.
Oh, okay.
No, you can ask him a question. Go ahead.
Rob, can you explain why this is so late? Did your department inform them sometime after March that the old route wasn't any good? Or did it just happen that nobody bothered to check until it was too late to notice? Or how did this occur?
At the time that my staff actually looked at the race route, I don't know the exact dates, but we were aware of the issues with the undercrossing, put those comments back to them and saying that there's an issue with the undercrossing, and they were to provide a alternate route. They have attempted a couple of different route options with us where we looked at it and we determined that some of the routes that were presented to us didn't provide a safe alternative to the public, to the participants, and to the community. And so it got to the point to where time just ran out between us working with the race directors to try to get this route through.
Yeah, my question really is, this was applied for in March 8th. And we ran out of time, so they obviously didn't address it or didn't know it until it was too late as far as your department was concerned. Is that correct?
No, John, but hold on. I think you also have heard testimony, and to add to this, you had an underpass that at some times in the past had been cleared by the county. And in this situation, all of a sudden, the county didn't clear that.
They didn't clear it last year either.
Okay, but they have cleared it in the past. And that all of a sudden presented all these different questions. I think that the better question maybe for Rob, if I may, is that did you have a willing applicant that was trying to work with you continuously on getting an approved plan? And all I've heard is the answer is yes. I have nothing that's contradictory of that. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we worked with Brendan probably for at least a couple of weeks, I would say, to try to get this route going, to try to get something that would be, we can kind of get through and get a route that would be safe for everybody.
Well, my question is different, and that is the word continuously. People have that spoke at this hearing have pointed fingers at bureaucracy and at the planners and at the operator. But continuously to me, from March 8th to now, September 11th or whatever it is, 13th, continuously is not August. And that's where I think our problem is.
John, I think you're missing the point that they weren't told from Fish and Wildlife that that wouldn't be cleared until the end of August. You're completely
Well, wouldn't you think you would ask
fair.
before August?
Well, I mean, if he lived under the underpass, maybe he would. If he was, a major donor of the Tidewater Goby, he might be advocating for it never to happen there. But I don't know that that's necessarily.
No, I'm just, our problem
you
here.
don't have you have a community that is in its entirety saying, we want to be able to participate in this.
You have a community that we just approved these minutes tonight, that before August 21st, when the minutes were held, was all upset about no notice of a big event. And you said in the minutes, Chair Peak suggested consideration of a change to provide greater notice to the large-scale public events. And we provided zero notice.
My comment about this is that this is an event that happens annually. If there was a mechanism whereby which they could have this approved a year in advance, we would do that. If the city would have approved their plan, but it's contingent on this stuff from the county. It's contingent on the overpass being open. And when that wasn't open, the plan had to change. So the applicant tried to change his plan. It took time. That's normal. But
it is not normal to plan an event in March and in August finally figure out that there may be a Goby there.
That's not, okay, I used to work and do different surf contests in this community. The county won't issue a permit till a couple months before the event, if you're lucky, okay? Then they'll throw you through loopholes in the final hour before you have to go and do something like that to go and get different approvals. And I'm just saying from my own experience that we're not looking at a single family residence, and we're not looking at a structure. We're looking at a much larger event that's much different than the event that was held on the beach. It's held in essentially what is a public park, that being Zuma Beach. And you have the county saying, we want to support this event. We want it to happen. It's happening in our city, and you've heard from many residents that live in this city that want the event to happen. What is the reason not to approve it?
Because the reason not to approve it, number one, is against the law. Number two, we're not arguing about whether or not the county approved this or county approved that or county approved anything else. We all the time approve TUP saying, you shall get the fire department to approve this. After we issue the TUP, you shall do this and you shall do that. Let me just finish the sentence. And the only consideration here tonight is, did they follow whatever it is that ordinance 1768-050? Not whether they got permission from the county to do this or permission from somebody else. That is, you can do that ex post facto. And we could have passed that. We could have passed this 4 months ago.
Gentlemen, none of us can count to three. Can we put it out of its misery and just take a motion to deny or a motion to grant, one or the other?
And can we clarify? I don't know if Commissioner Smith is in the meeting or not.
He's not.
He's not. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, Chair. So he attempted to come on. We had tech issues.
Yeah, I thought he had gotten on finally. I wasn't sure.
And just that Brown Act provision that I noted earlier in the meeting requires both audio and visual. We couldn't reach that.
We just put everybody out.
Well, I have a few more questions.
Is it going to change? If the answer going to change your vote?
It might change somebody's vote. I don't know. Question one to Skylar. You just made a point of saying all the people here are all in favor of this, and there's good reason to be in favor of this. What are the people? How do the people who might not like this know about it if the notice was not mailed?
Well, you can also, I would say that if this is something that you were adamantly against, and you're not going to be adamantly against it because all of a sudden you moved here and just bought a house and you're adamantly against it, if you are. You are going to be somebody like some of the speakers who I will not mention their name that called in and said, I'm glad to see that the route changed, although it's not going to affect me, but I just really hope that the city follows its rules and whatnot. Now, I believe that this could mean some notice can be given to notice, a notice could go out tomorrow to the residents in the area to notify everybody of the change that's associated with this. I'm sure if we needed to take out something in the newspaper to do that, we could do that as well. Maybe with the support of, we could request that of the applicant to make sure that that's done, and I'm sure he would agree to that. I just see his hand saying yes.
Okay.
I think that we need to figure out a way to make this happen, not a way to deny this from happening.
Well, Skylar, the point is that all of the community has the right to notice, okay? And we did not do it, period. It has not happened. And it cannot happen in the future because it has not been approved.
So you need to make a decision then, very simple. Do you want to see this happen or no? If you don't want to see it happen, that's your vote. It's not going to change.
would love
Are you
to see
willing
it.
to change your vote or no?
I would, no, because
Okay, then
why?
that's
The
fine.
reason why is
Okay.
because
Are
I am
you willing
not
to change the-
allowed,
are-
I am not allowed to make that decision. I cannot change the law. And it's very, very standard.
That's okay, that's fine.
So I'm going to make a motion to uphold or whatever we're doing here.
So it would be staff's recommendation.
I'm going I make a decision to make staff's recommendation.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay, and I'll make another subsequent motion that or you can go. Let's go for a roll call.
Just for discussion, I mean, it seems pretty clear the number here now, but just for the record, and if this is going to get bumped up to council, a couple questions for Rob. I think you're probably the best one to answer these. Just, for the record on this, there will be a record if it goes to the council, okay?
It's all de novo. It's all de novo.
Nonetheless, they need to be thinking about things. Some issues about the specific proposal here. What happens to all the parking on the south side of the highway along Zuma Beach there? When I look at the PDF, page 13, shows traffic cones and so forth, it looks to me like all of the parking along the south side of PCH there would be blocked off for whatever that length of Zuma is, 1.5 miles or 2 miles or whatever it is.
And that's what they have in their traffic control plan. That's what they've had before. They post no parking, and they close off the shoulder and they close off the number 2 lane to have safety between the cyclists and the vehicles that are going on PCH going southbound.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. Secondly, it seemed unclear to me what happens with the traffic on Westward Beach Road. If you've got bicycles, it basically looks like you have 1 lane in and out for cars. What can cars still do, if anything, on that road? Is it one-way traffic for cars on that day, or how does that work?
So a solution for that right there, I believe the race organizers can expand on it farther, but the idea was to have 2-way traffic at that intersection. So if there is traffic coming in on Westward Beach on PCH, they would have a traffic officer or sheriff there directing traffic to come onto Westward Beach. If there was a block in the traffic, they'll switch it, and people coming from Westward Beach going on the PCH would have the ability to turn left or right onto Westward Beach. So they would have a controlled one-way in from that section from PCH to the Arizona crossing would be kind of a 1 lane or 1 lane with controlled intersection by the sheriff.
Well, controlled like a construction, like letting cars go one way and stopping and then letting cars go the other way, that kind of
Correct.
alternate?
Correct.
Wow.
Then can I ask a question on that? It appears that the turnaround at the end of Westward Beach is right where Sunset Restaurant is and Birdview, Sunset and Birdview. How are you going to turn around 3,000 bikes and allow somebody to cross that intersection?
So the map that you saw does not show cyclists or the cycle route on Westward Beach that goes down to Birdview. The section that you're looking at is the run course, which the runners will go on the parking lane and run on Westward Beach. There's no cyclists that are going to go on Westward Beach down by Birdview. There's no turnaround.
So how do the runners run back, or do they just stop?
It's a out and back, so they run there and then run back.
So how do they turn around in that intersection?
So once again, you can ask the race directors on how they propose on setting it up, but they would propose something to turn around where they have a cone or something there where they turn around.
Probably run and turn around the same way they've been doing it for the last 38 years.
For the last 38 years, they've closed Birdview. Closed it.
Birdview or Westward?
Birdview.
My questions here are for clarifications of things that the council might want to look at. So my last question would just be so we understand, what is the state of the Arizona crossing now? Is it still wet? Is it passable? What's its condition?
As it current right now, it is open, but it's depending on tides and availability for vehicles crossing over there. The race organizers have submitted 2 different race courses based on the Arizona crossing. One goes and utilizes the Arizona crossing. If that's not available, Westward Beach will be not utilized by cycles, and the entrance into Zuma parking lot from PCH will be used as the entrance into and turnaround. So cyclists won't be going up on Westward Beach, they'll be turning around that way.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Rob, Brennan, can you come up to the microphone real quick and just better explain this so that everybody understands how that flows? And if you need to bring that diagram up, they can pull it up from your slide.
Yeah, if you pull it up. The one thing I do want to bring up here with this event is that there's no residential access or businesses that are blocked with this route. You know, the notification, again, the event has happened for 38 years, but I also know that we all have tons of things going on. But the notification tomorrow being the 19th, this event is on the 30th of September. So there's still time for this to get out. We're actually working, with Malibu Time. You can easily get ahead up with that and work with some other organizations just to amplify, get the message out, even with Blue Radio, things like that. Thank you for the route there. So this route, again, the run course has not changed for 38 years. It actually, they would go to the cyclists go out lot 12 over there by the Trenkus. They come down at PCH then, and we made the decision actually earlier today because there's still half an inch of water in Arizona crossing. And I think based on the safety, as I looked at them, that just go back in the main entrance into Zuma Beach. This half the course was also done for the years. The bikes went on that entrance right there. The runners then would be heading south on Promenade. Can you just remember this there? Right south in the Promenade. They will actually run across Arizona crossing there. We've had to decide if we want to build a small ramp, which again has been done off and on for the past 20 years to keep people from getting their shoes wet. The runners actually go down on the beach side of the road. There's a very nice company line that's set there because there's always traffic going, I'd say, northwest on Westward Beach Road. The runners go down again. There are 1 or 2 to a side there. They go down, they turn around at that U-turn and go back the same way. They always stay in that protective lane of boundaries. And I'd be more than happy to review the traffic control signs that are at the top of Birdview. I believe they say, special in progress, making delays, but I'm sure those don't say road closed. And in addition, we have scheduled 2 LA County sheriffs at that intersection to actually ensure the traffic's driving at a reasonable rate, and that the Sunset Restaurant, has access both for staff and people coming to the restaurant.
Thank you. The motion on the floor. The motion on the floor is staff recommendation. We have a roll call.
Vice Chair Mazza?
Yes.
Commissioner Hill?
Regrettably, yes.
Commissioner Jennings?
No, May 1st. Oh, sorry.
Chair Peak?
No.
Motion fails.
And so obviously I can count, but Chair Peak, it is better to have a motion on the other side, just so it is clear that we exhausted all possibilities.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to grant the appeal on the basis that I believe that they would send notification out to any residents affected and take out an ad in the newspaper, a full page ad in the newspaper, to make sure that that information got out about this race in a timely manner. That would be my motion.
And as well as all of the required findings in 1768-060.
Yes, and I'm doing that based on making the findings that nature has impacted the race.
I'll just have to say, I did, in the discussion of the legal interpretation, I didn't hear anything to suggest that we don't have to respect and abide by the law, the 32-day law. That's just it. Our hands are tied.
I hear you, but I feel when I read that I'm totally okay with making the decision tonight based on that.
Correct. And Chair, if I may just give a quick clarification. Commissioner Hill, my office stands behind, as does staff, with the staff report. That being, so once again, I can't be any clearer than that. That being said, you guys are up here, you're the decision makers for a reason. If it were to go the other way, it is not my job, it is not staff's job to tell you guys, no, you cannot vote that way. So I just want to be clear, staff stands behind its recommendation. However, it is not from legal that you guys must vote a certain way.
Nor was I implying or suggesting it would be coming from you. I'm just saying that I don't see a viable way to interpret it differently.
We have a motion, but we don't have a second.
Second. Do you need to add anything to it? I said, do you need to add anything to it?
Chair Peak,
Yes.
Commissioner Jennings,
Yes.
Commissioner Hill, Vice
No.
Chair Mazza,
No.
motion fails.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Nope. Hey, hang on. There's a few things. So I do just want to put on, so I'd be remiss if I didn't. I will have to ask the question, is there any additional information that can be shared tonight that would seemingly change any of the minds of the planning commissioners?
No.
Well, it won't change my mind, but I wonder if there was no discussion of postponement or a rescheduling and what options there might be there. That might change minds on this end of the table.
I don't think we can make a decision on that because that's not what's in front of us.
I agree.
Yeah. So I would like to hear just from the applicant for a second.
I would like to address 2 points, and I do want to acknowledge that I know this is a difficult decision to make based on law. I do have a text from a very experienced attorney said that substantial client compliance is enough where no individual constitutional rights are affected. This is within the Bunker Hill Project with the California Supreme Court case. And I can give you the citation number if you do need to look at it, because I know from a legal perspective, you want to make sure that you're going by the rule of law. Rescheduling actually is unfortunately not an option. We have 3,700 people registered. We have 200 contractors on reserve. We have 600 volunteers ready to come earn their per diems. We also have, aside from, I'd say, the celebrities and television on there, but there's actually the road race policy does not allow for 2 events to take place within 30 days. This would push us into December, which regardless, I don't think we can reschedule the entire crew in those numbers that I just said to another date.
Thank you.
Would any of that information help change?
No, I would just have to say there are individual rights at stake in the due process. Everybody within that noticing radius has an individual stake in this. So I don't think this is not a court of law. We're not arguing the merits of the law. We can only go with what's in front of us.
Patrick.
And so once again, assuming the answer is no, I did just want to put out there, and this is mainly for the benefit of the applicant, as well as maybe the Planning Commission. This is a bit different than our previous 2-2 vote, 1704-220. Appeal of action is clear that when there's been a decision from the planning manager or director, which in this case there has been, which has now been appealed to you all, a deadlocked vote basically means the decision of the planning manager or director shall be reinstated. Now, of course, that being said, they can, of course, appeal to City Council, which is an option to them. But so, once again, we had a decision. It got appealed, 2-2 vote. Therefore, the lower decision stands, unlike, I believe, the last one where there was no lower decision and 2-2 vote. So thank you, Chair.
Do we have jurisdiction to request to council that certain fees be refunded? No?
No.
Okay. Well, I just did on the record now, so.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Have a good evening, everybody.
Vice